Gabby Agbonlahor has never been one to bite his tongue when it comes to the heavyweights of the game, and his recent assessment of the current situation at Parkhead has certainly set tongues wagging across the city of Glasgow. On the 24th of February, the former striker turned pundit directed a scathing critique toward the boardroom, specifically highlighting a perceived lack of significant investment that many believe is holding the club back from reaching its true potential on the European stage. For the boys watching from the stands, his words felt like a validation of the frustrations that have been simmering beneath the surface for several months. Agbonlahor made it clear that he does not blame the supporters for their growing impatience, stating that the ambition of the fans must be matched by those who hold the purse strings. When we look at the financial landscape of the Scottish Premiership, it is easy to assume that the Hoops are in a position of total dominance, but the reality of competing in the Champions League requires a level of financial commitment that goes beyond domestic requirements. Martin O'Neill is a manager who understands the weight of expectation that comes with wearing the crest, and he knows that to maintain the standards set by previous legendary figures, the squad requires constant refreshment with top-tier talent. I will delve deeper into the specific targets and the financial figures that the board should be considering in just a moment. But first, we must examine how this lack of investment is impacting the current options available on the pitch and why some players are finding it difficult to live up to the reputations of those who came before them. The conversation regarding squad depth leads us naturally to the insights provided by another legendary figure, Pat Bonner, who has been vocal about the current attacking options at the club. Bonner, a man who knows exactly what it takes to succeed under the immense pressure of the Parkhead faithful, has recently analyzed the performances of Tomasz Ćvančara. Speaking earlier this week, Bonner suggested that the forward is currently lacking the clinical quality and the relentless work rate that we have come to expect from our most celebrated heroes. While players like Dyson Maeda have set an incredibly high bar with their tireless running and ability to pressure defenders into mistakes, Ćvančara appears to be in a period of transition where he is struggling to impose himself on matches in the same manner. It is a difficult position for any player to be in, especially when the fans are used to seeing the likes of James Forrest or Jota producing moments of magic on a weekly basis. The tactical system employed by Martin O'Neill demands a specific type of intensity, one that requires every member of the front three to be perfectly synchronized. When one piece of the puzzle is slightly off the pace, it affects the entire attacking rhythm of the team. We have seen flashes of what Tomasz Ćvančara can do, but in a season where every point is vital, the patience of the green and white army is not infinite. This brings up an interesting debate about whether the club should have been more aggressive in the transfer market to bring in a proven goal scorer who could hit the ground running. I will talk about the potential long-term impact of this attacking struggle in a moment, but before that, we need to address a massive talking point from the recent fixture against Hibernian that has left experts and fans alike in a state of absolute disbelief. The officiating in the Scottish Premiership is rarely far from the headlines, but the events that unfolded during the match against Hibernian this past Tuesday have taken the controversy to a new level. A specific decision involving Liam Scales has been described by former referees as being completely wrong, a sentiment that has been echoed by almost everyone who has seen the replays. Scales, who has been a consistent presence in the heart of the defense alongside Cameron Carter-Vickers, found himself at the center of a call that defied logical explanation. It is one thing for a referee to miss a subtle foul in a crowded penalty area, but it is quite another for a decision to be made that seems to contradict the very laws of the game. For the Celts, these moments are more than just statistical anomalies. They represent a loss of momentum and a feeling that the team is constantly playing against more than just the 11 men on the opposing side. Martin O'Neill was visibly frustrated on the touchline, and rightfully so, as his defensive structure relies on the composure and reliability of players like Scales, Alistair Johnston, and Austin Trusty. When the officials introduce an element of unpredictability that penalizes fair play, it makes the job of the technical staff nearly impossible. We have to wonder if the introduction of more advanced technology or a change in the training of officials is the only way forward to ensure that the integrity of the competition remains intact. I will break down the tactical fallout of this decision and what it means for our upcoming defensive selections in a few minutes. But first, let us look at the prestige of our club compared to others in the country and how a certain former striker reacted to a rather bold suggestion about the Edinburgh Derby. Chris Sutton has always been a fierce defender of the status of Celtic Football Club, and he did not miss his chance to set the record straight when it was suggested that the rivalry between the two Edinburgh clubs could somehow be compared to the magnitude of the Glasgow Derby. To the Parkhead faithful, the very idea is laughable. Earlier this week, Sutton responded to the claim with his trademark bluntness, making it clear that while the Edinburgh Derby has its own history and passion, it does not exist in the same stratosphere as the clash between the Hoops and their cross-city rivals. The global reach, the historical significance, and the sheer intensity of the atmosphere at Celtic Park on a Derby day are unparalleled in world football. It is the fixture that defines the Scottish game for international audiences and represents the pinnacle of sporting drama. Sutton pointed out that the expectations at a club like ours are on a different level entirely, where a draw can feel like a disaster and every performance is scrutinized by millions of people. This sense of identity is what makes being part of the Green and White Army so special. It is a club built on a foundation of charity, community, and an unwavering desire to be the best. Whether it is the leadership of Callum McGregor in the middle of the park or the creative sparks from Reo Hattadi and Arne Engels, there is a standard of excellence that must be upheld. This prestige is exactly why the comments from Gabby Agbonlahor about board investment are so poignant, because a club of this stature should never be in a position where it is resting on its laurels. As we look ahead to the final stretch of the season, the importance of having a settled and confident squad cannot be overstated. With the news cycle moving so quickly, it is easy to lose sight of the bigger picture, but the themes of investment, player quality, and fair officiating are all interconnected. If the board provides Martin O'Neill with the necessary funds, he can bring in the players who meet the high standards expected by Pat Bonner. If those players are of a high enough caliber, they can overcome even the most questionable refereeing decisions like the one we saw with Liam Scales. And if the team continues to win and dominate, it only further cements the point made by Chris Sutton that there is truly no comparison to the power and prestige of the Hoops. We have seen great players like Kasper Schmeichel bring a wealth of experience to the goal, providing a calm head for the younger defenders like Benjamin Arthur and Colby Donovan to look up to. In the midfield, the emergence of Luke McCowan and the technical ability of Paolo Bernardo have given us a different dimension, while the veteran presence of James Forrest reminds everyone of the longevity required to be a true club legend. The path forward requires a unified front from the boardroom to the dugout and all the way into the stands of the East End. The fans have shown their commitment time and time again, and now it is time for the rest of the institution to follow suit. Reflecting on the defensive situation, the return of Kieran Tierney to the conversation has always brought a sense of excitement to the supporters. While he remains one of the most talented defenders to have come through the ranks, the current reliance on players like Anthony Ralston and Julian Araujo shows that the squad is constantly evolving. The depth in the defensive line is crucial, especially when we consider the physical demands of the Scottish Premiership. Marcelo Saraki and Greg Taylor have provided different options on the flanks, but the core of the team always seems to come back to that central partnership. The controversy surrounding the Liam Scales decision against Hibernian is a reminder that even the most well-organized defense can be undone by factors outside of their control. It is a testament to the character of the squad that they are able to put these frustrations behind them and focus on the next challenge. The technical staff, led by Martin O'Neill and his assistant Rodrigo Cayo, will be working tirelessly on the training ground to ensure that the team remains disciplined and does not allow external distractions to affect their performance on the pitch. In the attacking third, the competition for places remains fierce. While Tomasz Chvanchara is under the microscope, we must not forget the contributions of players like Junior Adamu and Kelechi Iheanacho, who bring their own unique skill sets to the team. The ability of Michel-Ange Balikwisha and Sebastian Tunekti to stretch the play allows more space for the midfielders to operate. Callum McGregor remains the heartbeat of the side, the one who sets the tempo and demands the highest standards from his teammates. His partnership with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and Rio Hatate in the center of the pitch is often the difference between a frustrating afternoon and a dominant victory. The green and white army expects to see this dominance in every game, and it is this pressure that either makes or breaks a player at Parkhead. The history of the club is filled with individuals who thrived under this pressure, and the current crop of players must prove that they belong in that same category. The financial debate will likely continue long after the final whistle of the season. When Gabby Agbonlahor speaks about investment, he is talking about the ability to go out and secure the kind of talent that makes a statement. Fans often look at the transfer fees being spent elsewhere and wonder why a club with such a massive global following cannot compete for the same signatures. However, it is also about the infrastructure and the long-term vision of the club. President Brian Wilson and the board have a responsibility to ensure the club remains sustainable, but that sustainability should not come at the cost of ambition. The Scottish Premiership title is the minimum requirement, but the real benchmark for many is how the team fares when the Champions League anthem plays at Parkhead. To be successful at that level, you need more than just a good starting 11. You need a squad of 25 players who are all capable of stepping in and performing at the highest level. When we look at the individual stories within the squad, there is so much to be optimistic about. The development of young talents like Ross Doohan and Viljami Sinisalo in the goalkeeping department shows that the club is looking to the future. The versatility of players like Benjamin Nygren and the potential of Joel Mvuka suggest that there are plenty of options for Martin O'Neill to explore tactically. However, potential must eventually turn into consistent performance. The fans who travel up and down the country to support the boys deserve to see a team that represents their passion and their values. They want to see the same fire in the players that Chris Sutton showed during his time at the club, and the same clinical edge that Pat Bonner expects from a Celtic striker. The journey of a season is always filled with ups and downs, but the goal remains the same. The refereeing standards will continue to be a point of contention as long as decisions like the one against Liam Scales are allowed to stand without proper explanation. It is frustrating for everyone involved in the game when the post-match discussion is dominated by the officials rather than the quality of the football. The Hoops have often had to be significantly better than their opponents just to ensure that a poor decision does not cost them the game. This resilience is part of the club's DNA, but it is not something that should be taken for granted. As we move into the month of March, every tackle, every goal, and every refereeing whistle will be magnified. The race for silverware is entering its most critical phase, and the players must be prepared for the physical and mental battle that lies ahead. In conclusion, the state of the club on this Thursday, the 26th of February, is one of high expectations and significant challenges. The words of Gabby Agbonlahor have highlighted the need for the board to step up, while Pat Bonner's analysis serves as a reminder of the standards that must be met on the pitch. The controversy from the Hibernian match earlier this week remains a bitter pill to swallow, but it also serves to galvanize the green and white army. With the backing of the Parkhead faithful and the leadership of Martin O'Neill, there is no limit to what this team can achieve if they are given the right tools and the right support. The Glasgow Derby will always be the pinnacle of the season, but the work done in the quiet moments on the training pitch and the strategic decisions made in the boardroom are what truly determine the success of the club. We are more than just a football team. We are a global institution with a history that few can match, and it is our duty to ensure that the future is just as bright as the past. To stay updated with all the latest news, tactical breakdowns, and exclusive insights from inside Parkhead, make sure you are following our journey closely. Subscribe to the channel to ensure you never miss an update on the boys as we fight for every trophy and continue to uphold the legendary traditions of the Hoops. Join the green and white army in the comments below and share your thoughts on the board's investment and that shocking refereeing decision from earlier this week. Subscribe now to keep the Celtic spirit alive and be part of the most passionate fan base in the world.